Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally hit the finish line for season 3 of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. That's right, we are here for episode 10, Made You Look. Let's get through all the important information really quick. Written by Sascha Penn and Albert Manthis, and then directed by Eif Rivera. And again, this is episode 10, the finale, the big conclusion to this entire season. Man, we got so much to cover tonight. Lucas and Niger, we're here to do what we do each and every week. We appreciate you all each and every week coming to check out our recap show. But this one is truly going to be one hell of a talk tonight, because what a finale it was. Certainly right now, before we get into all of our news and everything, before we get into the show, you all let us know right now in the comments. Did you like the finale? Was it everything that you expected? Get in the comments right now and let us know. Hit the like, subscribe button, and all that other good YouTube stuff. But yeah, right now in the comments, please let us know if you like this finale. Was it everything you wanted it to be? The hype was real. And I ain't going to tell you my thoughts just yet, but we're definitely going to get into it. But also right now on the channel, we got some exclusive content for you, because we got 2 interviews for you all from that new hot, right off the press group. That group you know as butter. We got all 3 of the ladies available for you right now. Liv Simone, who plays Aisha, Aaliyah Turner, who plays Crystal, and then y'all already know who it is, Haley Kilgore, who plays Jukebox. So both of those interviews are available right now. Yes, the ladies, that hot new group, butter, or maybe not, I don't know, but we'll have all those answers for you in the interview that you can check out on the channel. Lucas, man, how you doing today?
Man, I'm good. I thought you was going to address one more thing at the beginning of the show.
Well, no. You know, I'm ready. Listen, you know I'm ready to go off. I'm
not on the episode, but clearly there's no need to address the point that you see us now. You see us Monday possibly again, as we'll do our live show then.
Yeah. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We will have a live show for you all, so we can talk about the entire season. There was so much in the season. Season 3 was absolute fire. And let's not forget that, season 3 comes right off of the strike. So, considering all things with the strike and the writer's strike and both the actors strike. So, the fact that like all the promotion was able to be really pumped into the season, man, it would have been absolutely tragic if they weren't able to promote the season in the way they were, because this was a banger. Raising Kanan still sits among the top of the power shows, if you ask me. And it's going to be really hard to dethrone them with a complete season from beginning to end. There's so much to talk about. We obviously are going to talk about the finale tonight, but we will be live with you all on Monday, not Sunday. I know y'all like looking for a Sunday, but I'm not competing with Usher.
Man, who the hell is? Chris Brown? That's the only one. The only one that's competing with Usher is Chris Brown. And I'm not even saying it's a good competition, but he's the only one willing to do so. We are not willing to do that in any between Usher and Patty Mahomes. I am not competing against them two.
And Tay-Tay, your girl Tay-Tay.
Forget both. I'm about to say, forget both of them. We are never competing against Taylor Swift. I'm not doing it.
We don't got ratings like that.
I'm going to have on my Taylor Swift Kansas City Chiefs jersey. It's going to say Swift on the back.
We don't got ratings like that. Hey, but if y'all do like us and y'all think we can compete with the Super Bowl, please share it and like with all your friends, and we'll see what we can do. But we ain't going to be nowhere near in that conversation.
It'll be the drunkest show humanly possible. I know what I'm gonna be doing on Super Bowl Sunday.
Cooking.
Hey, cooking, slaving, drinking, watching football. The American pastime, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Who you got, by the way? Let's put that prediction.
Oh man, San Francisco.
I like San Francisco. I want
Tom Brady Jr. That's Tom Brady Jr. That's what I'm going with here.
Yeah, and folks, obviously, give us your predictions right now for the Super Bowl. Who y'all got? Do you got the 49ers, or do you got the Chiefs? Or do you just got Taylor because apparently some people think she's on the field this week too.
That is more than enough to get people to vote, and they'll vote just for Taylor Swift. It is a bunch of very amazing people who don't know who the Kansas City Chiefs are. They just know that we're going with a team what's in red because that's the team of Taylor Swift's boyfriend. They don't even know who Travis Kelce is. He is literally Taylor Swift's boyfriend. and Patrick Mahomes is Taylor Swift's boyfriend's quarterback.
Oh man, but yeah, nonetheless, to get on tonight's episode again, this is episode 10, Made You Look, written by Sascha Penn, Albert Minnis, and directed by Eif Rivera. And we always like to give a shout out to our directors and writers. As I mentioned in the beginning of the season, we were just coming fresh off the writer and actor strike. So we want to make sure we continue to give them their flowers, as well as the actors and everybody else who makes these things come to our TV screen for us. But with that being said, live show Monday, so tune in for that. You can subscribe to the channel. You will get the information, that notification when we are when the video is available for when it's scheduled to go live, and then obviously when we go live. And last but not least, we told you so. For all those folks that were just like, "Oh, Unique's dead. Unique's dead. He's gone. Just let it go. Just let it." It's funny how y'all harp on the ones that are clearly dead, but then the ones, as we have mentioned, in power logic, could be alive. And here we go. So big shout out to Joey Badass and how he handled the press. Complete shout out to him.
This is a master class at it. The point, but we talked about it when the tweet went out, like, what happened if he's just doing this to misdirect people? And everybody's like, nah, he wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't do that. I tell you what, I could spend so much time in terms of why this was, as you mentioned, masterclass bamboozling, because even the outlets he picked is hilarious to me. In my logic, his thoughts and obviously stars equipped to him were like, well, they're not even going to check out the rest of this season anyway. So let's get this press and get up out the
Exactly. Who on the Shade Room is going to continuously watch Raq and Kanan? Absolutely no one. But if I tell you that Joey Badass is done on the show, boy, are you going to talk about it. It's again, though, we constantly brought up, especially in a realm of power, if you don't see a body, it's always a possibility that this person is alive, because power likes to make their deaths like known. There's no question about it. As much as y'all have contemplated if Ghost is still alive, you literally watched him die at a funeral and everything, and y'all still questioned it. But no one questioned when they kept on saying, we don't know where Unique's body is. That should have been all the information you needed to understand that there was a great chance that he was going to be alive. But speaking of that scene,
and you know what's funny? Because Howard, even in his last dying moment, was that where Unique's body is at? Alive, right above it. Hey, before I turn the keys over to you real quick, once again, 2 interviews available on the channel. Liv Simone and Aaliyah Turner, known as Aisha and Crystal of Butter, as well as Haley Kilgore as Juke. Check those interviews out immediately after you're done watching our recap. And as we set the table here now, as we mentioned, Unique is alive, which is one of the big moments tonight. We clearly got a lot to cover. Let's also start off by mentioning we did have a 2-week jump. So just so you know, some things, not important things, but just some things transpired for us to get to this point to really establish that there were some emotions that folks need to work on, and there had to be some pieces of the puzzle laid out. So I love the jump here. It made sense to me. And it really just set up for an explosive finale with all the events that occurred. But with that being said, I get quiet here. I'll let Lou direct us. And I guess we're going to start with the big moment.
Of course, the big moment. And that's famous getting questioned. I'm sorry. Of course, we're going to start with the big moment, which is the end of the episode, which is the big moment of this episode. As we arrive and we see as Raq and Howard, amazing, a weird combination here. just the amount of respect. This also needs to be paid attention to. The amount of respect that people have for Howard, that he's a cop and he's been allowed in environments
Gotta talk about that.
absolutely
Gotta talk about that.
no business being in at all.
Mhm.
And all of them know he's a cop and no one questions him being there.
Yep.
But as they arrive to save Kanan from Ronnie, who to their thought he kidnapped Kanan, here we get the big setup. We get the big reveal that this whole time, it seemed like at first that Kanan was going to turn on Raq, and then we get the WWE turn at the end as the babyface comes back home all of a sudden here. So I'm just going to ask this without going too much detail because I want you to talk about it. What did you just think about the way they set up this scene? From Marvin being on the outside, looking very reminiscent of Snowfall when they went to go and save, damn it, how am I forgetting her name?
Louis.
When they went to go save Louis, very reminiscent of him being on the outside there. And just this setup and your feelings when you saw what Kanan said at the beginning. Did you think we were going down this path for the way they started this scene off?
Yeah, listen, we watch a lot of Power. We watch a lot of shows in this genre. We watch pro wrestling. And for all the movies, the comics, all that stuff that we're into, I love when I'm still surprised. This was done beautifully because I literally was like, holy hell, I didn't see that coming. And I'm so glad that I was able to enjoy that without being able to call it pretty early in the beginning. Because there was some sprinkles of things I was like, I wonder if they're going to kind of take this approach. But I love this because the one thing I'm never going to give credit for as of this point, and I know some of you all in the comments already do, is just how intelligent Kanan is. I know we know where Kanan goes when he's an adult. I know they could talk about his pedigree with his mom and his father, and not really his father because his father's Howard, which, as you mentioned, there's a lot of comparisons between the two of them. But, you know, they always try to do that. Oh, you got just like your father. You ain't never met him in your life. You know what I mean? But the next,
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, right? But I love this. This was done. This was great television. So to add the commentary to it, I was just at the edge of my seat because I loved how they handled this. It was an amazing wrap of not only this episode, but of this season, because all the characters sort of had a moment of like, what is going on right now? But these are the cards that we were dealt. We got to play our hands. We got to get out of here. So Kanan being the mastermind behind this, setting this all up, I just never seen that coming. However, I do want to talk about Howard, because something we established pretty early in this is that if they found out that Howard was his dad, a cop, this is bad for business. So I thought to you, even with Howard's death, but even with the respect of Howard, does this also now becomes a cause and effect for him, or is this null and void and that's it? This is it. There's no effect to it.
Nah, this is it. I think that the setup was Kanan telling Ronnie who Howard was. I paid way more attention when Ronnie said, I was questioning the cop coming until Kanan told me who he was. The point that Kanan gave up that information, Kanan understands how dangerous it is that Howard is his father, and that someone like Ronnie would know that Howard was his father. So that told me then, like, okay, Kanan understood to use that. I just didn't understand what he was using for at the time. They did a great misdirection.
And who was all on the same page here? That's what I want to know, because this
is what part. None of them.
That's
none of them were on the same page.
No one was on the same. And I know you all going to always want to fact check this. So I'm just going to throw the question out there. Not even going to try to guess. At what point did Marvin know that Howard was a cop? Because I don't think it was. I can't remember. Was it ever exactly distinguished, or when she talked about having someone on the inside? Did he ever?
He knew Howard was. He knew Howard was a cop. When did he know Howard was a cop, or when he knew Howard was Kanan's father? At the beginning of the season.
He never knew he was his. And you know what's interesting? He never will. It's fine. I'm saying
he knew. He knew he was Kanan's father.
When?
At the beginning of the season.
Okay, that's the question. No. He knew he was a cop. He didn't know he was Kanan's father because they did have the conversation, and he was just like
at the dinner table. Juke knows that's his father, and Marvin knows that's his father. And
yeah.
Lou knows that's his father.
Well, yeah.
Because Marvin went and then told Lou. So yeah, all of them knew.
Juke knew first. Juke knew first, and when Marvin came in and was like, "What is all this? You got some explaining to do." Yep. That's right. And then
that's when Marvin said, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" And she said, "This ain't just something I'd have just sat down and told you over tea or something." Like she's very adamant of why. True. Yeah. But as it pertains to this scene, everybody was operating on their own besides Marvin and Raq. Marvin and Raq were operating on the same length as it pertains to what was the plan to get Kanan out, because they were always going to kill the henchman and kill Ronnie. That was their plan. They got thrown off when Kanan came in and said that he set them up. That threw Raq completely off of her plan. And Marvin knew nothing about her killing, or Marvin didn't know Raq was going to kill Howard.
Yeah, because, and that's the question I'm getting at here. So y'all start saying I need to, because they love to criticize me about I need to watch. My question is, with Marvin being on the outside, what information did he miss? Because there was a lot of different pieces that went on in there. But as you mentioned, the answer to the question is, the biggest thing is Raq killing Howard was not on the table.
Part of their plan.
Because it was the decision she had to make for the love of her brother. As she said, I'm not giving nobody up. And as we know, as Howard said, somebody's got to pay for this. Blood for blood. He just did not know it was going to be him, which is this
odd.
Yeah, I was going to say, which is really clever by Raq, that she was able to really, without ever showing her cards to him, what her plan, what she was even contemplating her plan to be ever. So it was just a really dope scene how they put that together.
It was the duality of mother and son. They literally took out the two threats for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
Ronnie completely betrayed Kanan's trust, and he did something and crossed the line, and he put his family in jeopardy. That's why Kanan killed Ronnie. Howard betrayed Raq's trust, put her family in jeopardy. That's why she killed Howard. They killed him for the exact same reason, in the exact type of sneaky way where I set you up and you're not expecting it to be me. So Raq the entire time knew, first the goal was to get Howard to help her kill Ronnie and get Kanan back, but she was always going to kill Howard. That was the plan.
At least it was always on the table. Kanan. It was always going to be on the table.
That was always going to be her plan.
Yeah, because it's hard to tell what was going to happen in that room. I think that's the thing. That's why there was so many, as I like to call them, Raq eyes floating all in the room, because no one knew how it was going to play out. Even Kanan didn't know Howard was going to be there. I mean, he knew Howard was going to be there, but he didn't know Howard would be killed, because he was like, "What are you doing?" And everybody's like, "What is going on in here?"
He knew nothing about that, and that's why Raq very adamant at the end said it had. When he's asking, "Why did you do it?" and she's like, "It had to be done." And eventually she's going to have to explain to him why him and Marvin are going to have to
Marvin. Yep. Just about to say
why she had to kill Howard.
Yeah.
So and then you'll understand it.
So since we're at it, let's fill in the blanks here, because there's a lot to really make it a scene. Let's just fill in all the blank. Why it had to happen is because she had to save her brother, and she has to let Marvin know that you were being investigated, and Howard was willing to give you up. And Howard was willing to not give you up for the sake of they're on your back, but because he felt like you had to be the scapegoat for the entire family. Yep. So there wasn't just like they got enough on you, they're going to come give you, and he's going to give you. It's like, no, we're going to ensure you are the person that they can get, so that it clears all of us. I didn't sign up for that, but he wanted it, so he had to go. And then I think Kanan also has to understand too. One, Stefano said it to him. I don't know if this is the angle you're going to take, but Stefano said, "I hope your son knows how much you love you." And I think Raq may have questioned it at that moment. I don't know if he really knows how much I love him. So I'm going to show him. Without
Marvin
a doubt.
said it also.
Oh, and Juke.
Stefano said it. Marvin immediately said, "I hope he does."
Yeah.
Because it was a question about, do you understand? And that's been the running theme of this entire season. Because of everything that she's done, it was questions. Did she actually love him more than she loved herself?
That's the whole theme of the season for her.
This proved it, because technically she gave up everything of hers to make sure she could get him back.
She was willing to give up everything.
Yeah. Well, technically she had to give it up, because technically that money to Stefano, you just ain't giving it back to him.
Maybe
you still owe. Nah,
Maybe.
that ain't the way that
No.
works.
Don't forget, Stefano's sweet for it. He likes a little bit of chocolate there. She may be able to fandango her way back to establish playing field.
Chocolate, but he like a little bit of money too. So the interest rate's still there. Like you can't borrow from the bank and say, "Hey, I'm gonna give it back to you tomorrow."
Hey,
nah, baby, the interest rate's still the same.
It's definitely a development for next season, but yeah. I can see
Stefano's still getting that Capital One interest rate. Please believe that 32.5.
Yep. So my other question to you and the fans is, the other elephant in the room is, did Snaps and Pop know everything that's going on? Because they know everything, but they seem to be very much in the know very much not in the know in terms of Kanan's plan. I think they knew Ronnie's plan, but the money thing is the interesting aspect, because here's how I look at this. Ronnie said, I only wanted to connect, and what did he say? I only wanted to connect and to work. The money is what Kanan wants. Don't forget that Snaps looked there and was like 5 and said that's what Ronnie wants. So it's interesting to think, did they know this was the plan the entire time? Or were they somewhat in the dark too? Obviously our fans let us know. Y'all let us know in comment. But what do you think on this?
Kanan set all of them up. Kanan made it seem like I'm siding with him, but we need to make sure my mother knows that a ransom is needed. That's when you come up with the number, because Snaps and Pop understand the danger that they're in. We'll talk about it later on, the scene with them and Marvin. They said the most perfect thing in the world, which is, Switzerland's always safe until we're not anymore. This is now the situation where you're no longer safe because Raq took out the big bully. Now you're really in trouble because you become her number one target. Because eventually Kanan is going to tell his mom a lot of this stuff was orchestrated by them. Like, Kanan ain't stupid. That's why when Kanan approached him at that bar, he questioned Ronnie about what Ronnie did. Snaps and Pop stepped in like, nah, we supposed to be working together. All that other shit, I'm pretty sure at this point Kanan's going to have to tell his mother everything. And she's going to tell him everything. I think this is the start of there's literally no reason to lie anymore about anything. And with Raq, I think it started with Lou. It starts back to the beginning of the episode with her. And at that point, what's the point of holding a secret? It does you no good at all. Not in this situation. You got caught in that situation with your son because of the secrets. It was too much going on, too much you were trying to hide, but you can't hide it from him. And at this point, there's no reason for him to hide it from her. At this point, he in the game. That was Raq's number one fear. She didn't want him in the game that he's obviously going to be in now, no matter what.
I don't know. I see it a little different. Also, I just want to tell you were wrong about Howard and Adina sleeping together this season. Don't think I was letting you get off the hook with that.
I've never said such shit of that nature.
Really? You didn't say that Howard was going to use Adina?
No, I said he was going to use Adina.
No, you said they were going to sleep together. Oh no, it's okay. YouTube.
That was you. Wait a minute, that was you.
No, I'm not at all that weird in the head to think that these two. A queer character and a straight character all of a sudden they're just gonna sleep together because they're like.
Power fans, tell us who said that. Y'all got the footage. We got B film. It's all available. Y'all go back on this correct.
301. Episode 301. Lucas says it plenty of times that Adina and Howard are gonna sleep together, and it's definitely towards the end of the episode with a weird statement that did not come at all to fruition. I know the people on YouTube be reaching at times, but that one was Stretch Armstrong, my guy. But I think the Snaps and Pop thing is going to be interesting because Kanan, to be honest with his mom, I don't see that coming. I don't see that coming straight just yet. Because Kanan's still going to think he's the man, and he's going to still think because he set everybody up that Raq is beneath him. But we'll see. And again, I think that Snaps and Pop, I think they knew about 75% of this.
Is it that he's going to think that Raq is beneath him, or is this finally what he always wanted, which is this can lead to his mother treating him like a man? That's all he wanted. We talked about this whole season. It's always, and Ju brought it up, it's always been about you proving to your mother you're man. At this point, if he feels he's done that, I think then there's no reason to lie anymore.
I mean,
like, Mom, you saw what I can do. Like, in all honesty, if Raq would have gave that boy to work from the beginning, he'd have never partnered with anyone else.
Yes, I mean, I don't know. It can go either way, because Raq could easily get back into her mode of still trying to protect him. And we've seen it with Tasha and Tariq. It can go either way. It could be embrace it. No, it's not, because it was always the question of Tariq becoming Ghost and being like his father and going out there and doing all that lying and being able to move drugs, which he does very good on Power Book 2 Ghost. So it's there. But at one point in original Ghost, the original Power, when she decided to embrace that, everybody was looking across the board like, is Tasha really about to just let her son get into the game like that? And while it did seem like a very bad move for a mother, it was kind of like, well, embracing who he is. And I think it's going to be the same conversation with Raq. Is like, now the viewers know, and now she knows what he's capable of. But do she embrace that, or does she go back into mom mode and just like, I can't have you in this life, even though he proved that he could do something?
I'm about to say, that's the difference, though. Tasha had to embrace Tariq get into the life and then say, I'm going to show you the ropes. There's no showing Kanan anything. He's already did it. Raq had already accepted him being in the game. She was fine with it until it became a problem for her. And that's when it became an issue. So at this point now, I don't think she's going to fight it. There's no need to fight it. It's the revelation we got, I want to say in episode 7 with Raq, when she said, I'm out here trying to do all this other stuff. I was meant to do one thing. Guess what? Trying to get Kanan to do other things when he's possibly meant to do one thing is the same path. So at this point, you may want to be the mom that you say, I don't want you in this, but then you can't. She gave up everything to show Kanan there was a better life. It got right back into it when she realized, nah, I'm not meant to do anything else.
I honestly, with all the logic and facts that are there, it still becomes the mother nature aspect that it's just unpredictable, where she just says, I'm going to protect him away from this, or I'm going to embrace what he is. That's what I'm saying. It can literally go every way.
She showed him how to cook crack. Raq. Season 1. Yes, season 1. She told him how to cook crack. Like, you can't.
I mean, but to your logic, then, if he showed him that season 1, then why was she so against him trying to be out of the game in season 3? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to. Remember, the facts doesn't have to be there.
The fear. It was the fear.
And again, and even in season 2, she was against it. She sent him away. So I'm saying, like, it can be all these facts of her saying he should be in it, but she easily can go back and just say, I don't want to. But anyway, I don't want to keep harping on that. The other big things in this scene is obviously Unique coming back. Unique being there with this setup happening, being right at the exact location. Who told Unique this?
There you go. That's the $1 million question here, is who told him that this is going down at this situation?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the big reveal next season. Because was it Ronnie? Was it Raq?
Definitely wasn't Ronnie. And it definitely wasn't Ronnie and his boys. So it's the question of who knew. Was it Howard? Is the question.
That's the best question in the world to me. Because it could be Howard.
It absolutely could be Howard. Howard has been, resourceful in ways that
Howard could be the only one that makes sense. Or when Unique got better, he reached out to Raq.
Could be. But 2 weeks, man, a lot happened in the 2 weeks jump from episode 9 to episode 10. But ultimately, I think I can't remember the timeline, how long it's been since he's been gone. But yeah, a lot can change. He got the scar now, so I like the cosmetic work they're gonna do for him. Yeah, the eye. So that's gonna be dope. I think the last question I had for this was, what was I gonna say? We talked about Unique. Marvin, No, that's it. That's it. We run through everything. If it comes back to me, I'll talk about it later.
Well, then great. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode, which is also one of my favorite scenes of this episode. And this is Lou and Raq in therapy here at the beginning of this episode as they're at the treatment center.
Don't skip the important part. They tried to make it look like Lou was a done deal.
Well, I mean, that was just a nice shot. I really enjoyed the shot. Granted, the whole time he's talking, you obviously knew that wasn't no casket. So
listen, they tried to give us the swerve like he was alive. It's a big deal because everybody, I mean, not everybody, but there was 50-50 draw on if he was alive or if he was dead. So welcome back, Lou.
That shot at the beginning.
One more ride.
That shot at the beginning with him with no haircut, that should let you know he wasn't alive. He was alive. Because niggas be casket sharp. So I knew that he wasn't dead. If he had a fresh shape up, I'd have thought like, yeah, damn, they took Lou out. But when he had that, when they did the little pan shot with his eyes closed and he had little beady beads at the top of his head, I said, oh nah, he alive. Because there's no way. You're not sending your folks off that way. But here at the therapy session at the treatment center, what I loved about this scene is the honesty that's shown in the scene between Raq and Lou. Down to Lou saying, one, I have to get all this out, and this has to do with me, not necessarily with you. Letting Raq know everything doesn't have to be held in. Raq is way more concerned with certain stories being told, and Lou is like, nah, it's the emotion behind everything that's important. Down to the therapist telling Raq, as Raq is questioning, why did you bring me here? And he's saying, your brother brought you here because your brother said you're the most important person in the world to him. What did you think about this scene here? I got a correlation between we talk about it with Marvin and Kanan and Raq and Juke, but we never really talked about it as it pertained to Raq and Lou. That Raq is kind of like that mother figure to him. Yeah. What did you just think about this setup of this therapy session between them two?
Oh, it's very reminiscent to a love I have in my life, to be honest. I saw it and I said, this starts to all make sense. I mean, it's the tough love, and she shows up. She shows it in a way, especially us as the viewers, sometimes you just don't really see through the toughness. You see the dismissiveness. You see damn near abusive at times. You're just like, man, she's just rough to this guy. But I think as much as this therapy scene is about Lou, it's also about Raq, because I think she needed to have this to be honest with herself, to hold her level of accountability for the actions that happened. So this was really powerful, and I'm glad that we were able to finally see them on the same page. It's been about 10 episodes, because don't forget that Raq's been owning Lou for a long time. Made my man cry, which is duality, because the last time he cried was when she said that, just for them to have that moment of forgiveness. And to be able to move past this, and man, Bettina can act her ass off here, and this was it. This was it. I'm sure they took a break right after they filmed this one, because they had me choking up a little bit, because Raq was tough at the moment. Then she started to pull back the peels of the banana a little bit, and then she was available for him. But as much as Lou is there, Raq may need to do a couple of weeks too. You know what I'm saying? To really work on her feelings, man. My emotions. Man, I don't believe in this.
like every black mother in the 90s and early 2000s.
Easiest scene for her to read ever.
For this.
Yep, easiest scene for her to read, because she probably heard it 1,000 times herself.
Like it was just a great setup between them two. And also for you to fully understand, possibly, like when she talks about, you're my little brother, I held you in my arms when you were born. Like, she's talking to him like that's her other son.
Yeah.
Like that form of responsibility. And then when we go back to understanding their parents, understanding what happened with their father, but also understanding the person their mother is, it kind of makes you understand that it's a possibility that Raq has always had to step up to be the mother for Lou. So then it is going to mess with that dynamic of brother and sister, because at that point, that dynamic no longer exists. And anyone who has an older sister who actually played the role as your mother, you fully understand that that person never becomes your sibling. But you fight it against it because you're like, nah, you my sister, you're not my mother. But in all honesty, that person raised you. So it creates a weird dynamic that you have to navigate when you get older to understand how that can work, and you have to form a different type of relationship. So I love this scene because it finally feels like they can possibly attempt to form the proper relationship between them two, because they're not brother and sister. Even though they are brother and sister, it's a different level of love, respect, admiration, hatred, all of that roll into one. You understand more when Lou was saying, I would do anything for you. I would follow you anywhere. And you're like, wait a minute, that's kind of odd. Why would you follow your older sister and not your older brother? It's because the older sister was his mom. Like, that was the person who raised him. So yes, he's going to do whatever. And Raq had to understand that, because you're blaming him, but in turn, you don't blame Kanan. But you was blaming Lou, said you need to be a grown man, but you never say that to Kanan because you recognize Kanan is your child, but the whole time you were raising Lou too. And you made him into this person.
Yeah, two things for me too is because, you know, her even admitting that, you know, she's been through the same shit, but maybe worse. And I also think this is classic Courtney Kemp here. She tells these very normal, as I would put it, very normal, intertwined black family stories that on surface it's like, that doesn't make sense. And constantly in these shows, you keep hearing and seeing these themes of things that you may say are good twist, good plot twist, or good think pieces, however you want to go about it. But I mean, this is surreal for a lot of folks. So this is right on par for an absent mom, a dad that was, whether he was absent or deceased at the time. The dad is dead, right?
Yeah.
And so the siblings had to fight for themselves. I mean, that's why Raq is tough the way she is, because she had to be. That's why Raq is against therapy, because she didn't have time to have that, you know, because she had to be tough. She had to be the anchor of her family. Yeah, no childhood at all. And I think that's why she's tough on Kanan. That's why Marvin allows her space, because he recognizes it with her. But he supports her because he's like, I am the big brother. And he is the big brother, just without a doubt. You don't look at that scenario and say Marvin's not the big brother. He absolutely is, because he protects his sister by any means, no questions asked, but allow her space to do what she needs to do. Questions her when there needs to be questions, critiques when there needs to be critique, silence when there doesn't need to be anything said. Marvin is the true kid of this entire family. I mean, Lou is the true kid of this entire family, because he is the one that got idols above him, but not in a traditional light. He gets to have as normal as a childhood upbringing. Consider all things considered. He didn't have to get old early. He didn't have to be grown earlier or be an adult early. So you know, these family dynamics, you know, it's very ingrained in our culture, and it's good to see them in a way displayed on television the way it is, because you don't see it that often. And the reason you don't see it that often is the Issa Rae issue, is that you got a black TV show, they love to cancel them. It's a really risky thing when you tell stories that the others cannot seem to recognize or to resonate with. And thus it gets considered bad or not good or not real and all these other things. That's why we talk about, because we know it. We know this stuff, you know. It's really cool.
We can speak on certain black audiences and be like, wait a minute, that's not even believable. It's going to be people in our comment section going to say, that doesn't make sense. That's not believable, because you didn't live that element of life. And it doesn't always have to be where the parent is a bad parent and it leads to that situation. It could be a situation if you're raised by a single parent. I was raised by a single mom who had 3 kids, took on 2 more kids. You work at 2 jobs. My other mother is my sister, who's 3 years older than me. And she treats me like I'm her child. Like the dynamic doesn't always have to be from tragedy, but it's just from circumstance.
Survival.
And a lot of people just don't realize that, or you didn't have to go through that. So
it's survival for a lot of us too.
Yes, exactly. You may not be able to understand that dynamic, but here it was just a beautiful scene, the way they shot it to show that dynamic, because we don't see that on Power. This is something you would expect in a way more dramatic show than a show like this, and that's what makes this wonderful, and that's why you get the comparisons to the great drug era shows that we've had in the past. But
you do see it on Power, because even if you go about Monet and the whole scenario with
Well, but that was just a little bit fancier though, and more
No,
dramatic.
but I mean, no. It's
No.
it's exactly this.
I'm talking about strictly the dynamic of the brother and sister dynamic from the mother and father dynamic. Not saying the black family dynamic aspects of it.
Yeah.
Because clearly Monet showed it when Auntie Mama, those dynamics happen. Power does show black dynamics, but this is one of the few times you've seen this dynamic shown. Like, this is a completely unique dynamic to this type of show. That's what I meant to say. Not necessarily the black family dynamic. Come on, Big Mama was beating your ass. Like all of this is black family dynamics. Everybody had that drunk grandparent. You know who it is. You didn't get left with Big Mama, because if Big Mama had her wild turkey and her RC cola, ain't no telling what was gonna happen to you in that household. You just had to get out of line one time and she was going upside your head. But next up is Marvin attending Gerald's funeral. Not much to talk about here, except for this is another scene where the FBI decides to roll up on Marvin and attempt to blame him for everything with Gerald. So I'm gonna stick to this.
I was just gonna quickly say, and then obviously the daughter. I mean, what a tragic story for the daughter. Lost her sister and her father all within a day or two.
A day, not even a day or two. A day. Less than 24 hours, actually.
Yeah, and
because he shot up right after leaving the hospital.
Yeah, that's right. And into foster care she goes, which obviously the feds. First of all, really quickly, this should show you at this immediate moment that the feds were willing to play as dirty as possible, because they were just like, yeah, she'll just go to foster care. They don't care about her, which means they don't care about anything as long as they get Marvin. They are worried about crime. They ain't worried about nobody's family. They ain't worried about this young lady's future. For all they know it, they might try to bring her as a CI and try this again, just for the sake of it. I'm surprised they ain't try to volunteer. It was like, why don't you adopt her and then use her against Marvin?
Because it's just a little illegal. You can't flip it yet.
Hey,
if they could though. If they could,
you're right.
You're
right. Hey, and listen, let's get into the shenanigans. Now, y'all already know now. Now, this is a young lady now, and she goes into foster care, which means she's going to end up in another family. Make your predictions right now. What family would she be?
Mother. That's Lisa Marie's mother. We know who that is, damn it.
Hey, it do check out though, because she was kind of an unk too, so it do kind of work. Oh boy,
you already know that's the angle everybody was going down. They like, oh no, that's clearly gonna be, she gonna grow up and be Lisa Marie's mother. Not Holly, not any other white people on the show, but Lisa Marie's mother.
Holly's a ginger, so they better not try that wild like that. But proceed.
She could be Holly's mother. I mean, a ginger don't have to have a ginger. You know, it's
yeah, her mother. You're right.
Not Holly. No, hell no.
Yeah. I mean,
but damn, she can't grow up.
I
mean, they're gonna try to figure out something, because she's the older sister anyway. So they're gonna try to figure out something here.
Oh,
that's all we're saying here. But back to the FBI not giving a goddamn about this child or anything, as they say, oh, she's going off to foster care, and this is all your fault. So I want to focus this scene on the following scene with Marvin talking to his lawyer, as he's trying to find way more information, exactly what they're looking for. As the lawyer says, do you need me to shake some trees for you at the bureau to find out more information here? The question I'm going to ask, do you think that lawyer came back with information for them when Raq says to Howard, are they looking for us or are they looking for you?
Yeah, I mean, here's the big question. We've seen Marvin trust Raq this entire season. Does she hit them with the same thing that Raq hit Howard with? Like, oh, so you mean to tell me that you weren't going to tell me they were looking for Howard? Then he kind of was like, yeah, well, all right, well, they are. And I did it, da-da-da-da-da. What is Marvin posture going to be when she finds out that Raq knew the entire time by way of Howard and didn't tell him? Will he be just as accepting? Or will that be a moment of like, so you were actually potentially considering to give me up, or you weren't going to tell me at all? Like, what was going on with that? I think, I don't, honestly, it's going to be.
Marvin found, I just want to say, Marvin found out first. that the FBI was looking, and he told Raq, and Raq then approached Howard about it. So there's nothing to tell between them two. Like, Marvin found out, and the moment he found out, he told Raq, and Raq told Howard that she knew that he was setting them up.
Now swing it back the other way. Since when Howard confirmed to Raq that they were looking. So now that Raq knew Raq didn't know as long as Howard is, but now she can establish a timeline of how long they've been looking. And the question would be, since Raq acted like she just found out, does he come back and be like, well, how long did you know? And then would there be a moment of tension there? Other than that, I can't think of anything else that's going to be relevant for that lawyer coming back with information besides the two of them kind of trying to establish the timeline and also just trying to figure out how long Raq knew outside of when Marvin was first.
I think the information was he possibly came back and told them Howard's number one on their radar, not you, not Marvin. And I think that's what made Raq say, are they after us or are they after you? And then him say, we family. They after both of us.
Hey, the two of them are foolish because they've both been saying the same thing to each other for like the last 3 episodes. So I like how he threw it back in her face because yes, that's exactly what you just said to him last episode. So he's right.
They doing all this family talk, and yet it's not over a single big table or a bottle of Corona.
True.
Like, this is we're not real family unless we at a table with Tyrese drinking Coronas. We know how this go. Next up, not much here to talk about. It's jump off Crystal and Kanan, and as we talk about, let's start the theories. The moment she said it in that bedroom of Kanan, I'm late. Did you immediately think that was Sean's mother?
It has to be, right? I mean, because we know it has to be at this point. I don't know if the maths, but it has to be. It just has to be because that's his only kid.
Well, so I mean, they didn't say it, but I don't want to offend anybody by me thinking what I'm thinking here. So this is just me going off.
Can we just move on?
No. We're going to focus on this one because you brought it up. And it's in the scene. It's key, and we're going to talk about that scene because if nothing happens, we'll talk about later on what happens in the scene, the important aspects of it. But when Famous busts in the room to talk to Kanan, and she's sitting on that couch crying, wasn't that an abortion cry? Like, I've seen abortion cries before, when like she just terminated the pregnancy. And because she was overly emotional as she was sitting on that couch. That's what I paid a lot of attention to. When Famous comes in that room, she is crying on that sofa.
Or it could be the opposite, where she finds out she is pregnant and she's crying. They're young, they're 17, and I think there's a measure of her. Yeah.
I know plenty of.
No, go back to when you're younger, and I'm not saying you was in this scenario or anything. I'm just saying, but just go back. Just go back when you were younger, and just think about the idea of when you find out, and somebody found out that we're pregnant. They instantly thought the world was coming to an end because you start thinking about either what your parents are going to say, you think about your dreams, college, military, whatever is going to be. Hell, McDonald's for some folks. All these things are done because you're having a baby. And then ultimately, I say your parents, because your parents are definitely going to have something to say and they're going to be mad about it. So I don't think for their age, I don't agree with what you think. I think it's like I think it might be an admission of like, damn, I really am. Now what? And Kanan already said, nah, we're just vibing. We're just chilling. He not claiming her. But I think it is going to be interesting because it has to be an element going into next season because we have to establish what does that relationship look like going forward? What is Famous and Kanan's relationship looking going forward? Because now Kanan is Famous is in hot water right now, and it's going to be we know he has a son named Sean. Sean clearly has to come from Famous because this is the most we've heard his name Famous being called Sean in this episode, which is reestablishing that, hey, in case y'all didn't know, his name is Sean. So I think it's going to be the route of them knowing that she's pregnant, confirmed, and at some point in naming him, it will be after his boy. Famous made it through the season 2, which should also get an applause because there was a moment where everybody was like, so
I'll say it's just a little fill out there to see what happens. I think that's it.
And don't forget too, her crying is kind of legitimate because she's out of butter. She was good to go. She wanted to be the lead.
She wasn't gonna be. Once Juke was out of butter, it was over at that point. No one cared anymore.
She didn't have that level of like.
Michelle and Kelly couldn't continue Destiny's Child. They're not continuing butter without Juke. Like, come on now.
Did TLC still survive? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes.
Who bought the TLC album after Left Eye?
Everybody.
Name an album that anybody cared of after
everybody.
Nobody did.
They didn't just fall. They didn't just fall off.
Mail was the last TLC album that mattered, and that's the last one that Left Eye was on. No one even knows the name of them other two albums.
They already got you. They already got you like a couple of weeks ago by saying they couldn't dance. So go ahead and put yourself under the. You said TLC couldn't dance.
They couldn't dance. Them little heifers wasn't dancing. Come on, Joe. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, Joe. But again, I don't necessarily know. I thought the cry was possibly for something different. You think it's for something? I think it's an interesting. And they left it open-ended to go into the next season, which is highly important because they even understand people are going to assume either one way or the other who this girl could possibly be.
Also,
again, we're not doing the math here to figure it out. I'm just letting y'all know up front. We are not adding it up. How old Sean was when he was screwing Tasha in the first episode of Power versus how old she is now and their age difference and things of that nature.
Also, too, just remember that she wants to be with Kanan and Kanan doesn't. There's no reason for her to go out there.
Now that I look at the age difference, that means Kanan would have been 27, 28 when Sean was 21. Like,
Kanan's
wow.
Kanan's, it's just
Kanan's 16
or 17.
18.
Yeah.
So he would be like 27, 28. So, wow. Yeah. Maybe the math is mathing. You never know. But again, I thought that possibly it could be an end of a era type of thing. But I digress. Let's go on to the next one.
Also, that's not happening in Sean's apartment. That's probably how they named it too. But no, maybe that's why. Born in Sean's apartment, but she's not, bro. How reckless would it be to just find out in one day and then the next day they're just like, no.
Shit. I mean, we'll do story time with Uncle Lou about that at another time when I was around that age. 3 times. So we'll talk about that later on. But next up, let's talk about Aisha and Juke. As we've kind of been waiting this entire season for her to profess her love for Juke. That's what we've been waiting for because that's what it was always centered towards. Here, as she meets up with Juke, after the time jump of saying that I've been reaching out to you, I haven't heard from you, and then you call me out the blue. And we see their connection here. I want to focus on their whole connection. Everything we see, this scene and the prior scene, the next scene at the diner between them two here. Did you think for a minute, and I know I hate comparing it to the Power episode, but we understood the relationship that Juke was in the future in Power. Do you think this possibly has a connection to this relationship? Meaning, is it the same person? Especially when she says, I'm willing to wait for you. And Juke saying, I don't want you to, but it means everything to me that you would say that. Now, but that does not mean that she still wouldn't wait for Juke, as we see how much she cares for Juke in this scene.
I don't even remember who the chick was when she was older, but also too, no, because there awaits more tragedy in Juke's life, and I think this one just happens to be another domino to fall. So I think she gets her second chance at love, somebody who is genuine and pure, but I don't think it's just going to work out the way that we would want as Juke fans. It's going to work out in the way that Power writes it, where it looks good, it looks promising. This becomes the person that makes her not go to the military, all for something bad to happen. But I think the only other positive note to really make of this is that, as a matter of fact, if she was the adult person, everybody would have been ironed that out, because Aisha's been around for now a couple of episodes. They would have already figured that out.
They've been talking about it in the Power groups for a while now. They've been mentioning that all.
There's
all
nothing.
time.
There's nothing. It's either she is or she's not. The other girl that she had in her apartment, I remember the chick. Just don't remember her name. She name dropped her, so they would easily say that's her. Aisha is a very distinct name, especially how this one is spelled, without a doubt. And they would have just captioned it because y'all captioned it, so it would have been an easy 1-for-1. So no, this person is just somebody that is another good moment, a good period in Juke's life until it becomes not good anymore. And I think she will be the catalyst to why Juke did not go to the military, as she has her heart set on, and she says that's her only means of safety because nothing else feels safe around here. But she saves because she says, I feel safe with you, until she's not, until something else happens. And whatever that's going to be will be determined in the next season, is how I see that.
That's a good way to put it. Next up was Lou and Raq. Again, we already talked about this scene. The only part to talk about is their hug at the end, which, again, full of emotion where they're showing that. But down to also Raq letting Lou know as Lou is thanking Raq for paying for his treatment, and she really wanted to be known, it's me and Marvin paying for this. That Marvin really loves you, which was weird for her to feel the need to say that. But then it goes back to the way we close off with Marvin and Lou in the last episode, where I'm guessing because he's an addict, you can question if someone really cares about you in that situation. That's the only thing I could think of, but it's not much else to talk about in that scene unless you got something to add to it.
Nope. Not at all.
Next up, Howard and the Task Force, as he is questioned with his union rep. I always love to question people with their union rep. It's the funnest thing in the world to do. But here, you get the questions thrown to Howard about everything at this point. Them laying it down on the table about his connections, bringing up stuff that I didn't think they would bring up, down to the conversation he had with Nicole's dad, and bringing up that you told him to press charges against Burke. And then the Task Force telling him, you have 2 days to let us know exactly what's going on, or we're going to arrest you. What do you think about this scene, the way it was set up between Tanner, which is the FBI's agent's name, and Captain Baptiste, my favorite character from this season, as they question Howard?
Okay, so I just Googled to go back. The adult love interest of Juke name is Candy. Now we can move on.
Oh, that's a nickname. That's a nickname. Ain't nobody really named Candy.
She don't have a nickname now.
That's what she get one when they get older. Sweet Light. Sweet Light. Candy. You wouldn't know right now how sweet she is. Like, come on now. You never know.
You gotta stay out of those. You got to stay out of those groups, okay? Because the thing about how nicknames work are nicknames are for new people. Nicknames are never for old people. Once you establish a name with somebody, that's what you're always going to go by. So if you got somebody that's a day one,
I give niggas nicknames all the time.
So when you first meet that person, right, you have a nickname for that person.
Nah, they don't get it.
You're not gonna. Yeah, right. That's my point. That's exactly my point. So nicknames are when you first meet somebody new and you establish that and you keep it. You don't wait 20 years later, but like, you know what? I'm about to just switch up the whole Lou thing. I'm about to call you something else random.
You never know, maybe.
No, bro. That's just
we know her name. We know her mama ain't named her Candy. We know that much.
Don't try to make this right. Just like your Adina and Howard saying. It's just not gonna work. But Tanner and Baptiste coming in asking about Gerald. The funniest thing is Tanner said, I could give a fuck about your partner.
Hey, but that's what I also wanted to bring up, because it's hot. No, not just that. He said, I could give a fuck about your partner or that girl on the Upper West Side. It goes by, again, what the FBI is single-mindedly focused on, which is Marvin. Because he letting you know, I don't give a fuck about anybody else. I need to know about this connection. And where do you fall into it?
Right. And I think what's important here is, one, for the first time ever in all of Power, we have cops that aren't just overzealous in a way that doesn't make sense. This is what the task force was brought in for, and they have stayed on par. They have, and I love the fact that even though they're asking about Marvin, they even said, well, what about Lou? You know, they're not just so, it's got to be Marvin or nobody else. I love that this one feels more natural in terms of policing. But I love how I wish they would have said. I'm sorry. I wish they would have showed Baptiste's face when they said, "Fuck your partner, Burke," because that was one of his cops too. So you have to tell me right now at this point, you have to start to say all of your cops are dispensable as long as they get their person. That's not a good look. That's a worse PR stunt than anything, because internal affairs comes in and starts to question, like, oh, so y'all not even protecting each other out here. Y'all just allowing it to go by the wayside for the focus of other things. I guess I'm more interested to see how Baptiste is going to respond to that going forward, because now that Howard's dead, do they have the same treatment of, well, don't care how decorated he was in a lot of stuff. We need to get Marvin Thomas and get all this other stuff.
I mean, we'll talk about that later, because I think everything is going to possibly die with Howard for other things that happen.
Maybe.
But at that point, if they blame everything on Howard and you go back to Burke, it falls on the higher ranked person, which is 1,000%.
1,000%.
That's the end of your career, because it's your fault at this point.
And listen, I got a theory. Here. So first of all, there's obviously
breeze.
It's definitely that. It's absolutely that. The fact that the cops snitched on Howard about putting a word out there about looking for Lou is funny, because he thought those were his guys, and clearly they wasn't. So folks are obviously out here whistleblowing internally, and the brothers don't do that, which means there's a lot of shit going on in this department right now.
Hell of a lot.
But the duality of the first episode and the second episode, who was the last person that Captain Bartiz asked to give the gun and shield over to? Oh, that happened to be Burke. This was exactly the moment I was like, uh-oh. And thus, I have now proclaimed that the Captain Bartiz nickname is the Grim Reaper. Because when he asked you to turn over that gun and badge, that's a wrap for you, my guy.
That's your life. It's your last episode. That's all you need to know. There's no Snoop. There's no on to the next episode. There's none of that. The moment Baptiste asks for that badge and shield, you die. You're gonna be dead. You just got to get over it.
And I think there's some other levels of duality too, because while Burke was suspicious of Howard, she never thought he would have killed her. I think you can say the same about Howard to Raq, where he thinks like, I'm a little suspicious about your actions, but I don't think you would kill me. And well, there you have it. Omar Epps being killed off the show is in a way tragic, but that opens up the budget for them to kind of decide who they want to bring on for next season. So I'm interested to see.
I mean, it's getting to something we'll talk about. Do you need to bring in another big name?
Yes, I mean, you do.
I mean, hold on, they have people already. Nah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking BMF, who adds everybody and their mama to this show. But nah, you don't really need to.
And those are cameos. Those are way over glorified cameos.
I think you pay, and I don't mean to talk about Power's budget. You pay Wendell and Erica whatever they want to be in every episode next season.
Maybe.
And you push the shit out of Snaps and Pop, because that's the connection there. And Tony. Like they can only get Tony for like 4 episodes this season. You need them for all 10.
And that's the thing, and that's kind of how Power has been. When folks become reoccurring characters, then you leave rooms for folks to to kind of do a couple of cameos. So I think you have to bring somebody else in.
Is Judith Light still alive? I think
it's who?
Judith Light still alive.
Yeah.
Who's the boss? She played Tony Dance. Perfect.
Yeah.
Alyssa Milano. Perfect. Bring the whole Who's the Boss cast back, Joe, and make them Stefano's family.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they try something wild like that. I mean, we still haven't seen the family, so
hey, tell me that wouldn't be amazing.
It would.
Coming in there, it's big dog. That would be it. That's all you need, Joe. Because at this point, I think for Raising Kanan, you want to go for the big names. This is prestige television, or as close as you're going to get to it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Omar being gone, you want to bring an attractive big name, and then you want a black name too. You definitely want an established black name of somebody. Wendell's a big name for sure. Wendell and Erica, but you want somebody that has like a certain. I'm trying to think of like
I know what you mean, like that pedigree that fits with what this type of show is.
Yeah, and folks, y'all let us know. Yeah,
Damson's still out there. So hey, if you just want that connection, you can get it. It's plenty of people left from the Wire universe that you could definitely pull in here. I mean, I know you can't get interest, but
you know what's sad?
Maybe you can.
You know what's sad? And folks, let us know who y'all think who y'all think they should bring in for next season to kind of fill in that budget release from Omar. But if Michael K was around, it's a no-brainer.
Oh, it is a
no-brainer, easily, and you know he ready. You know he would have been ready.
Yeah,
rest in peace to the great.
Easy. Yeah, that's easily the first person you think of whenever you think of these type of shows. Yeah. It's him, because everybody else is booked on something already. I mean, you can't get my man from Oz, the black dude. He's on Chicago Fire. Yeah. Like you can't get those other big names that will really fit the mold of this show. Wood Harris, I mean, he's on BMF. He's been on BMF, but he's not. But I mean, it's close, but he still's not been on this one.
Yeah, you want to separate that as much as possible.
My God! Oh shucks, the actor who played Marlowe. Like that's another one. Like that's a hell of a get on something like this. So again, the possibilities are there. I would just love to see you step out the box and get somebody like Melissa Milano or something of that nature. A character you just would completely catch you off guard. And you'd be like, wow, that's a great add to this cast. But again, I think also I need to see more Wendell and more Erica, because
they're here. They're not going nowhere.
The more snaps and pop we get, the better, because that dynamic is super powerful. And Erica is fucking killing every introduction. I need her just to give me an introduction on this show. Anything. Like, the way she just gives everybody these introductions when she meets them, it's sounds condescending, flattering, but just understand it's a hint of a threat behind everything that she says that makes it perfect. But next up, we get, again, we talked about it already, and that was Marvin meeting with his lawyers. Nothing else to talk about there, about him telling them shake trees, and we kind of talked about what we thought that led to. The following scene is something that was brought up by Howard with Raq. And it's amazing that it came to fruition here. As Raq is leaving the treatment center, she pulls up at the light, and then she gazes off and looks at the basketball court of an innocent moment and watches this other car pull up beside her and start opening fire. What did you think about the way they set up this scene? I think you kind of saw it coming, but I'm just talking about the way Raq was looking, because it kind of it made me think she's thinking about her and Lou growing up. I mean, listen, everything is, and then for that to happen in that moment to bring her back to reality, because we needed something to shock her back. They're like, hey, I understand you just went through all that with Lou, but you back in the real world, and there are people that's looking to get you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody could saw this coming. Stop at a red light, get the light view. You knew somebody was pulling up to her. We done seen this 1,000 times over. But yeah, it is a snap back into reality. She's looking off into the moments, and whether she's just reflecting on her own childhood with her brothers, or thinking about her and Kanan, just anything to distract her for the world that she's actually existing in. It was just that. It was exactly as you mentioned. It was a quick grasp back into reality of the block is hot. And
we're gonna have to eventually talk about these shooters. I know in the 90s folks didn't know how to shoot guns well, but I don't give a fuck how fast you hit that pedal. The moment he let he hit that trigger, that should have been it. I don't give a fuck how fast you could drive that car. That joint should have get lit up. Like, it was amazing that she got away.
I mean, did you for one moment thought that Raq could have got hit here?
Son. I don't know. They did it to Monet. I didn't know. Like, maybe Raq get a couple of shots. I wouldn't think Raq would die under no circumstance. or maybe at least a couple of shots. She got away scot-free. Like that kind of caught me a little bit off guard. But again, it also explains the setup for her understanding that you're in a world where you don't have the luxury of reminiscing. Not right now. Like this ain't the time for that.
It's not even that. I think she's living in a world where she always gotta be on her P's and Q's. You always gotta have a head on a swivel and looking over your back. That's it. You don't get the luxury of vacations or being able to kick back. Because at any given moment, and I'm surprised. I mean, it's because of the middle of the episode, but this was a perfect opportunity to get some narration from 50, because I think this is very telling in terms of Raq's the surrealism. I mean, that's surrealism. The realism in terms of Raq's life and situation is that like this is what it is. Just when you think it's sweet, it ain't.
Yep.
So
next up, again, we already talked about it. This is when Juke tells Aisha that she's going off to the military, and this is the profession of love, and this is You're My Safe Place. Every escape song wrapped up into one in that scene. The following scene is Famous going and telling Kanan that Raq has been shot up, and we quickly see Kanan say that crazy motherfucker did it. So I want to focus this scene when Kanan finds out that Raq has been shot and immediately knows it's Ronnie, down to Ronnie meeting with Snaps and Pop and them getting on him about, if you're going to do it, you don't miss. And then Kanan busting in the room and confronting Ronnie. We've been talking about it over the last couple episodes that Ronnie has took on the personality a bit of a putty, where he's just there and Kanan just sends him out to do whatever he wants to do. Here, we finally get to see Ronnie do what I thought he should have did from the beginning, which is boss up on Kanan like, little nigga, you don't run anything here. I do. Just what did you think about these two scenes, from Kanan realizing that Ronnie attempted to kill Raq to him confronting Ronnie in front of Snaps and Pop?
What I think is more important is the retro perspective of this, is that at what point did Ronnie and Kanan get on the same page? And it wasn't here. They clearly were still against each other. So Kanan getting information that his mom got shot up, you start to wonder at what point did he start to say, okay, when can I use this situation towards my advantage? So I think this was all very much everybody not on the same page. And you know, Snaps and Pop basically, you know, as you say, if you're going to shoot somebody, better kill them. Don't miss.
Shoot at the king, you best not miss.
Yeah. And Ronnie taking his frustrations after being schooled by everybody around him, taking it out on the little boy, which was cool because seeing Kanan mature, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I didn't make nothing more of it besides Kanan was going to keep a close eye on what Ronnie did. As he mentioned, we're partners, which is true because no one denied it. They are partners, so one's not working for one another. They are partners, so you're not making decisions by yourself. But at the end of the day, I think that Ronnie had to be checked and be remembered that he was to make sure that all his decision making did go through the table first before he went and did everything. But Snaps and Pop wasn't mad at that about him going out on his own. They said just don't miss. So I don't know, man. They so cool and collective about the things that happen. I guess as long as their money is being
their 401k good. That's all they care about.
401k, yeah. But it was interesting.
I mean,
it was definitely interesting.
Shout out to our fan. I can't remember who the name is, and I don't want to look it up now. When she said, I felt them. She said, I got a 401k I pay attention to. She said, I feel them every time they bring up their 401k. What I would do to a motherfucker that messes with my 401k.
Yeah. I tell you I was going to say, I tell you what else is interesting too. Pop made sure she was like, but Raq's okay. Very adamantly to Kanan.
To let Kanan know.
Like,
the mom's fine though.
Yeah. I was wondering about what that meant. That's a really interesting relationship. I'm starting to think that they might have really been cool back in the day. And I know they mentioned a little bit about, you know, when you were younger and but I think there may be a measure of them two being cool. And this seems to be maybe a little bit of a heartbreak that they're not cool no more, that they're not working business or anything together. Because that was one of those, like, I don't like her, but she's okay. It's like, if something really was to happen to Raq, what would Pop's reaction be? And I don't think she would be celebrating.
I don't think she would give a damn. I think it was way more important that she let Kanan know, just in case he didn't know, your mom is fine. Because she saw the anger in his face. And if it would have been a situation where Raq wasn't fine, Kanan probably would have went off right then and there and tried to kill everybody there.
Yeah.
And she understood in that situation, it is best to let you know she's fine. Calm down. There's no need to blow a gasket over this. We can recover from him doing this because she's fine. Because if she wasn't fine, there would be no recovery from it.
Yeah.
But I think they also misjudged just what that meant to Kanan, that he would even attempt to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was the that's miscalculation between them two there. But next up is the feds questioning Lou. Again, not a big scene. I just love the scene because Lou being Lou again. When Lou is sober, Lou holds it down completely with no issue. Down to them asking, "When you live at this is a pricey place. Like, who's fronting the bill?" Yes, I drink. And after last episode, I clearly brought up he stole a bottle of $10 whiskey from the liquor store. So Lou wouldn't lie when he says, "I drink the cheap shit." Yeah. But nothing else here to talk about. Next thing is Marvin, as he tells Raq it was Ronnie that put the hit out on her. Not only that, he allows her to know that Ronnie is working with Kanan, which he didn't know Raq already knew. But what's interesting in this scene is that Raq at this moment, not only did she tell Marvin, "I need you to talk to Snaps and Pop to schedule a sit down," but Raq in no way was willing to go after Ronnie because Ronnie was working with Kanan.
Yeah.
What did you think about the dynamics of this scene and just how that motherly love clearly shined through with Raq when she's like, she's willing to let go of a person attempting to kill her just because you're working with my son?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He's in the middle of this. So, and she's trying to go about it the way she tried to go about it earlier with Snaps and Pops. Is like, my son's in it. We don't need to have a war. Let's have a conversation. She has stayed true to that, no matter if it's Ronnie or whoever it may be. So I expected that level of or that measure of her, how she responded to Marvin's news.
Next up is Famous here getting arrested. Now, you foreshadowed this, so I'll give you credit there when you brought up the point that he brought that gun back to his mom's place and you was wondering where exactly would that go, because Power does not show something of that nature without giving you a payoff on it. And I want to hear focus on everything with Famous here, down from him being arrested down to the first questioning that we see with him and his mom, as is brought out that his mom turned in the gun because she was concerned and that the gun had a body on it, down to his next conversation with Captain Baptiste and Tanner, and they are only asking Famous about Howard. And this brings my question, because I think you kind of hinted towards it before when you said Famous is in a lot of stuff and you wondering the trouble he's in. And I said, well, the point they asked him about Howard, do you think Famous covered for Howard? He's going to cover for Kanan and Raq, but if he didn't cover for Howard, this kind of points everything on Howard.
I think that as goofy as Famous could be at times, I think this is, as we know, this is not his first time being interrogated. So he just stuck to the script. Don't give him nothing. He don't play with the cops. So again, another response that I was like, yeah, that checks out. Absolutely checks out. So I don't think he has been able to determine who he needs to protect, whether it's himself, Raq, Kanan, or Howard, whatever it may be. Which ultimately, with Howard being dead, I mean, because that's just going to all of a sudden become a factor. But he's doing as he should do. He's not going to take the cigarette. He ain't gonna take the burger. Don't offer him the Coke. He not putting his head down on that desk. He gonna be all right, man. He gonna be good. But
even
I will say,
out that joint willing to give everything up for a Chipotle bowl.
No, stop.
It's held on, Joe.
Stop. it is interesting that Howard getting famous out before has come back into play. I forgot all about that. And I was like, oh shoot, you're right. That is not a good look. And he's like, with no evidence or anything submitted. I was like, oh, he had that type of pull. Nobody questioned until now. So
that was in season 1 when he got him out.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Howard, though, because you just skipped the quick scene with Howard, because there's this old saying, if you're scared, go to church. And well,
yeah, I wouldn't even go. I didn't even look. Look here, look. I understood that we had to see Howard praying again, but he ain't been in mosque in God knows how long. Granted, and they constantly talked about it. And didn't he go to pray at this moment? Like, that's just.
If you're scared, go to church. That's it.
Hey, go to pray to some. Hey, what they say? You ain't got to believe in God or Allah or whatever. Let something bad happen to you. That's gonna be the first motherfucker you call on.
Yeah.
Before anybody else. And that's what. And Howard had questioned his own faith, as he brought it up 2-3 episodes ago when he said, "I questioned. That's why I have not been there." And the moment everything hits the fan, he immediately went back to church. Yeah, so that's why I didn't bring it up. I said, "Oh man, they got my man out here praying." At that point, I just knew somehow, some way, this would be his demise. Because don't nobody go to church and live in power. Like, didn't ghosts go to church and then get killed? Like, it normally happens that way. You can't go to church in power and then live. But next up is another amazing meeting between Marvin, Snaps, and Pop. As I said before, Pop / Erica gives the best intro. She makes you feel so loved when she brings up your name and she talks about Marvin, you sexy piece of chocolate walking in here. But this is Marvin attempting to negotiate what we'll call a ceasefire between all parties involved here. But it kind of feels like Snaps and Pop could care less about this at all.
Or Marvin.
Or anything.
Or Marvin is doing Raq a solid by being there and reading off her request. And then Marvin being Marvin. Listen, Marvin's that guy. He ain't sitting there trying to be and do anything peaceful. Where's Ronnie? Okay, cool. Well, listen. Raq wants to do this without violence or war. And he says, well, you know where this is going to go? And they said, we sure do. And he said, all right, cool. Nothing else to say. Marvin is the dude you want in your corner at all time.
Yeah.
Less words, all action. That's all I got from this, is that Marvin showed up. He wasn't even about to accept any of that flirting. He wasn't even about to do any negotiating. He had a couple of questions that he had to ask for Raq. And then after that, he was like, all right, cool. Now I'm done with that part of the interview. I got to say what I got to say real quick. Oh, cool. No answer. Cool. Well, here's your receipt in terms of how this is going to go. Somebody's going to pay. So I appreciate Marvin and the writing for Marvin, that they kept him thorough this entire season. He's a man about action. He not playing no games. Marvin is that guy.
And in the end, you tried to kill his little sister. If you think he gave a good goddamn about making peace, he never wanted to make peace. But he did it. But he offered it because that's what his sister wanted. But as Snaps and Pop bring up, again, a great line for me in this show is they're about to go to war and it doesn't matter because Switzerland's safe. And then Snap says, until Switzerland isn't. He fully understands, like, we're good right now.
Yeah.
But the tide can turn and we will become the next threat to them.
Yep.
Which it kind of looks like that's what it, I believe at least that's what it's going to lead to, is them becoming the next threat, because it's very clear here. Marvin does not trust them. Kanan at this point, I think, don't trust them. And Raq knows better than to. Yep. I think that she just needed to get Kanan back at all costs first before anything happened. So next scene is Howard meeting with Raq. Again, this is something we already talked about. As Howard, clearly, we family. Like, you need to save us. We need to throw Marvin under the bus. This is a running theme of this episode with Howard, is that somebody has to fall. Or, in the very famous words of an amazing poet, streets need a body. Somebody has to get it.
And listen, who is it? Remy Ma? That because Raq looked at Howard and said, listen, Marvin gotta take the fall. Raq eyes lit up. Is you dumb? Like, I'm not giving my brother up. by the great philosopher Remy Mamathin is once quoted, "Is you dumb?" And Rock looking at Howard like, "What are you talking about? We already talked about this. I'm not giving my brother up." And he come talk, man, they're putting two together now, and they on you. No. They on us. We family, which he was right by. But then he proceeds with the next stupid thing. Gotta be Marvin, man. Gotta take the fall. I already told you, my brother ain't going down. So Rock, I'm glad they didn't give her no commentary here, because
the look was more than enough to let you know what she was thinking. The point you equated it to exactly the look on her face to Rima. Is you dumb? Yeah. Matter of fact, I need that's somebody. If you need somebody with a budget, I need y'all. I need them to have a cousin that comes from BX and have it be Remy.
Ghost. I want to see her on Ghost. I really want to see her on Ghost.
Dog. Oh my God. Yeah. If she got on Ghost, that would be crazy. Because hey, anybody who don't think Remy can act, it's a couple of projects I can tell you to watch. Remy can get down when she wants to get down. So yeah, it will be an amazing get on any one of these shows. But again, it's just a nice correlation as we see Howard is reaching his hand out to Rock, hoping that she takes it. Because self-preservation, as we brought up last episode, is the number one thing for Howard here. Yeah. He is worrying about himself, and technically he's worrying about himself and his son. He don't care about anything else right now at that moment. And if Marvin got to go down, if Lou got to go down, whoever got to go down, he know he just can't take Rock with him, because if he threatens Rock, he's definitely going down. He just didn't understand threatening her brother will lead to the exact same fate. Next up is Kanan's fake quasi kidnapping, as he's having a conversation with Juke about just everything in general before Ronnie's boys snatch him up. It's not much to talk about because we kind of talked about that the entire time. A lot of stuff we kind of already talked about. It's amazing. We're here. But next up is Famous, as he's then again just questioned by the police. This is when we find out that his mom turned over the gun. Next up, it's Howard with Rock again, trying to get him to understand again to turn over Marvin. But here in this scene between them two is when Rock finally gives Howard the business about everything and how all the cards need to be laid down on the table about their relationship, about how the dynamic works between them two. What did you think about the way Rock set this up with him?
First off, again, was Howard being honest when he said, "I did everything for Raq and Kanan"? No, because he's a narcissist, so it has to fit the trait that he was lying. Mm-hmm. Because even if whatever you think, if you don't agree with me right now, he immediately confirms it 1 second later, because he proceeds to blame Rock, which was like, what? But okay, I digress. But yeah, Rock, I think, is establishing trust, because she is establishing her plan right now. Bring him in close, make him feel like he part of the team. That's why every single time where she has that moment of not wanting him there because he has no business being there, she brings him in close and says, "Nah, you gang, fam. You're gonna be at that drop. You're gonna walk in right with us. You know, you get to flex at the table with them."
They did 6ix9ine before they turned on him. It's like, oh no, you with us, man. You good.
Nah, no bull. And I mean, like, that had to make Howard feel good, because he got that respect. He got to be at the table. He got to flex a little bit. Like, it's perfectly executed by Rock. She knew exactly how to tap into his ego, which is wild.
What did you think about the most important words for her towards Howard in this episode, which is, "It's amazing. Everyone blames me for everything, but I'm the same motherfucker you run back to fix everything."
1000%. Besides, I see some flaw in Rock's logic with accountability, because she was not always honest and always wasn't very accountable for her things, for her actions that led to reactions. But I'll give her a mild pass, because that statement is true. I mean, but it's also condescending, because you literally just had a conversation with your brother and y'all gave forgiveness on it, and then you weaponized it. Then you took that same shit and then used it against him, not with him being there, for the betterment of self.
She didn't use it against Lou. She just used it against Howard.
Yeah, but right. She used it for the betterment of self, her brother, that they made peace about it to make herself look good in front of Howard. Which, no.
Perfect black mother syndrome. The perfect black mother syndrome. What black mother has not done that before? It may not throw it back in your face, but they're going to throw it in the next motherfucker face. Just to let you know the shit I done been through. I done forgave that boy for everything he done did. And he still fucking me over.
Mm-hmm.
Then look at you trying to fuck me over too.
It's the simple thing. If you don't borrow money from anybody in your family, because they're like, oh yeah, gotcha, I'll take care of you. And then 2 hours later, and I had to loan that motherfucker money and and it make you feel bad. And he broke and he's doing that and this. It's like, I thought we were good here. You ran this whole narrative. So essentially, Lou could be thinking like, man, we good, we made peace. And then now and Lou think we good now, but anytime he got anything, he come back running back to me, the same person he blaming, but then I gotta fix it for him. That's why he in therapy right now, because I had to fix his problem for him. So whoa, so I thought you loved me, I thought you were paying for this for me, but in fact, you out here bad.
We only good because I gave him that damn $50 that he needed. I bet you next week gonna be asking for another 50.
The conversation, it's so wild too, because like, you know, when these things get back to the person, the moment you think somebody's doing something out the goodness of their heart, and then they out here talking bad about you, like, I don't want you paying for my stuff anymore anyway. So it's funny. Raq, that's what I say. Raq gets like 85% acceptance on that statement, because it's a flawed 15% of it that she needs to look herself in the mirror on that.
Now, and also in the scene is where we get the news that from Juke and Marvin that Kanan has been kidnapped, which felt very Liam Neeson like, the way they ran in their room to let Raq know that Kanan's been kidnapped. Like, this is the only part of this episode I was like, if it was a smoother transition to pull off this news, I think it'd have worked a little better. But again, we get just to the point that he's been kidnapped, and this is where they formulate the plan to attempt to get him back. We kind of talked about the next scene already, which is Captain Baptiste and the feds talking to Famous and bringing up Howard's name. And again, that's just something we're going to have to see next season, exactly what happens with them and Famous. I can think where this is going to head down towards, and possibly now that Howard's gone, I wonder, is it necessarily going to alleviate the pressure on Famous, or will they then try to put that body that they have on that weapon on Famous, because it's necessarily not a get out of jail free card anymore?
Well, but also too, like, the cops are being dirty, the task force are playing by whatever rules they want, but Baptiste, who has been Mr. Live by the code of ethics here, is also playing game, because now they're running this whole narrative of self-defense for the sake of them getting what they want, which, if you know how the first 48 and all these things work, they're bluffing. It never happened. Which is interesting that his mom is there, which is ultimately why they need to get the lawyer in there, because they're going to be talking about and saying things that they offered to only say that they never offered them, and so on. So
cops have the right when you are in custody, cops under law have the right to lie to you to get you to tell them the truth. That's why I love this scene when Famous said, man, I don't care about none of that. Where is my lawyer? My man fully understood his rights. At that point, he can almost admit to killing whoever he would like to admit to doing, because he asked for a lawyer. That conversation was supposed to stop before he started telling you anything else.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. Supposed to stop. That's the key word. They won't go and let up on the gas until that lawyer runs in there, makes his statement, and I forget what lawyer said, but make that statement of my what do they call their person?
Well, every episode I watch in Law and Order, they just step in there and say, "Shut up, step away from my client."
You're my client. There you go. I'm like, what's the word? It says, and stop talking to my client right now. But yeah, you know, interesting.
And then they miraculously give a subpoena out for something to Jack McCoy that makes absolutely no sense, and then the judge throws everything out. Like that's the way it normally works. Next up is all five of them meet, and this is the meeting between Marvin, Howard, Raq, Snaps, and Pop. This is where they ask for where Ronnie is located and what Ronnie wants. Here's told that Ronnie wants the business, the work,
wants everything, and 500,000.
And then this is the mention of the 500K that Ronnie wants also on top of everything else.
Right. So again, to put emphasis on this, they're aware that Ronnie wants two things. I'm sorry, they think Ronnie wants three things. Ronnie, on the other hand, is only asking for two things. So that third requirement by way of Kanan, which means that Kanan and Snaps were on the same page. Snaps and Pop were on the same page. They knew it. That means Kanan. So that means this is interesting. This is really interesting when you think about it. Hold up. Snaps.
Before you think too far into that, I'm gonna ask you one simple question. Then we go back to your thought. Initially, when they brought up the 500,000, did you think that's what they wanted, without mentioning Kanan?
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah. Oh,
1,000%. I was like, oh, that Snaps him. I mean, even how he looked, he was just thinking of a number. He was like 5. I think it's also interesting because there's a lot to really make it is. I don't want to spend too much time, but I also think this is a measure of pocket watching. If she can get 5, well, how good is she doing right now? You know,
exactly.
So I think there was a measure of Snaps and Pop trying to regulate that, but then that means they were on the same page as Kanan, or maybe this was instructed by them for Kanan to call this play. But then the other interesting is the disconnect between, and they must have, I mean, you said this before, sort of just using Ronnie. So the kidnapping was probably like an authorization from them to take him, but not to kill him, by way of them to get Raq to come from out of the shadows, to work the deal, to get what he wants. But then they get the money, but the money they wanted was also orchestration between Snaps, Pops, and Kanan. Ronnie just happens to be in the shadows about all of this, which still makes the unique thing so damn interesting, because unique being there means that somebody else, and I think it may be Howard, was like, just in case, show up. Yes, just in case. So yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
Let me also bring up, when they said 5, I did not think $500,000.
Me neither.
I thought 5 million. I think
me too.
I think 500,000. Like I $5 million. Nigga, I'm gonna shoot for the stars. I'm not.
True that. I definitely thought
weekend in Vegas.
Yeah,
I could burn through $500,000. But 5 million, nigga, we could do some things with.
But on the real, what was 500,000 in 92?
I mean, Griselda was making 80 million a day. So, I mean, at that point, 5 million seems like a logical ask. I mean, in the early 90s, we had the peak of crack. Like, you should be pulling in that much a day or a couple of hours if you supplying enough people with the product. And Raq is moving coke by the barrels, so I would assume more. So that's what, and then it almost shows that Raq isn't doing as well as we thought she was.
Well, she never proclaimed that she was.
I mean,
she's good at the business, but the income was never really there. She's reestablishing her system, you know.
I think that's the problem. That's the thought process, because she's reestablishing everything, and she doesn't have the money that she once had. Because at one point in time, she was pumping very well.
Yeah.
But the point you had to go and borrow $500,000 was say, wow, that's the proof that you don't really have it. But I think, again, you put it perfectly. I think Snaps and Pop put that number out there. They needed to see if she can get it. Because if you can get that much, you may be a problem for us, because you shouldn't be able to come up with that much so fast.
And the way they know everything, I'm not surprised if they already don't know who she gets it from, or who she's going to go to, because they're going to basically process of elimination from, her folks, that's her alliances. So it makes sense that they can easily say, well, I know we all know who do have the money. So very simple, very simple process of elimination for them to determine that. But I think even going to the next scene too, where she mentions like, I know where I can get this from. I immediately thought Stefano as well too. But as Howard says, like, you know, I'm gonna be there to drop. And I thought that like that was his declaration of saying like, I'm willing to die. He did go to church, so I guess that made right with his soul. But I guess he didn't think he was going to go out in the way he was. I think he was going to thought he was going to have his heroic ending, going out guns blazing.
He was going to go to jail, but he was willing to die for it because he didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah. But then but then after that, I mean, because in true Howard form, as we've seen in the last few episodes. Also, just a reminder, we can't save everybody. There's still a price that needs to be paid. It's like, bro, I wouldn't even mention that knowing that at any point, any of us could get got going into a situation. You're not untouchable. You're not walking in there as if like...
Howard ain't care at that point. Like, clearly. Everybody is willing to do the dirt, but no one's willing to serve the time to do the dirt. And he's a cop. At the end, he can't go to a jail.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances can he go to jail.
Yeah. Because
if he go to jail as a cop, he gonna have more problems than anyone else. Yeah. And I think that's the thought process. He says it even like eventually says like, this is my last time to do good for the kid. Like this could be it. Like I'm not gonna have this opportunity again. He kind of knew that there was no way out of this hole because I think in the way he was still trying to persuade Raq, but he knew she was not going to give up her brother.
Yeah, no,
so that's a good way.
Because he's a narcissist, so he didn't know. He was very blinded that he thinking that he had Raq under. And I mean, you think about it. It's sad to say, but the age thing really didn't pay much of dividends until you actually really look into it. If he was able to use her, then he's always had the mindset that he had her under the thumb. No matter what she does, he can show up at her house when he wants, and you know all these different things. So this makes sense for him to think like, man, if I keep telling her I need this, she's gonna give me what I need. He's a narcissist, and he's had her under control for all these years. So
why wouldn't this be
any different? Well, why wouldn't this be any different for him? But yeah, we got a whole bunch of these little scenes, so let's get through all of that.
It's not much. Juke in the army video. Be all you can be.
Be all you can be.
That's it. Be all you can be. Yeah. Raq goes to Stefano to get the loan.
Who admits that he has a little crush on her. Funny.
Which Snaps and Pop brought up from the beginning. Like that's the reason he fucking with you, because he got a thing for black girls. So again, we can combine this scene into their next scene, and this is everything Raq had to give up to get the loan to save Kanan. We already talked about it. Again, not that much else to talk about there. The thing we did not talk about is Lou and him still dealing with his demons and him thinking taking the easy way out will work for him. What do you think about him when he went to that utility closet? I kind of thought he would do exactly what he ends up doing here.
You know what I thought?
What?
I thought my man was going to look for the rubbing alcohol. I thought he was like, I need a drink. And
I didn't put that together at all. You can drink rubbing alcohol? Who the hell is drinking rubbing alcohol?
Oh, bro. Yeah, I mean, this very
Do you know what type of alcoholic you gotta be? Like that is up there with drinking Listerine to get drunk.
But see, that's where I thought he was at. I thought he was going.
Okay.
Yeah, and I understand the alcoholism. I we see it around us, but unless you're really in it, we're looking by proxy of like how Raq is looking at the scenario. Like, oh, you're just going to get better. All of us at some point have to be maximum ignorant to what folks who are actually in those shoes are really dealing with. And that's what I appreciated about this, because it starts those conversations for folks to kind of evaluate the people they're around and really trying to get the people to help. Because you say like, well, he's doing good now. I mean, he's 12-step program. He's reading. He's got the inner peace sort of worked out and having that moment of relief with his sister, and she's having a moment too. There's a lot getting back on the track. We see Lou back in Lou form. What would drive him to the point of going into this closet and one or two things is going to happen. And whether he's looking for a bottle of rubbing alcohol or some type of alcohol that he can consume in order to get a drink, or he went this route where, you know, somebody mentioned a couple of weeks ago now, one of our comments about when he looked at the gun, where he said maybe he's contemplating suicide for the easy way out. So he found the bungee in here in order to do so, which I was just kind of like, wow. And it's a really sad and emotional scene because, like, one, we love the character, but to see him hit rock bottom after really getting that moment of clarity with his sister and the path forward is again, which we just don't know what that means from looking on the outside. I mean, from looking on the outside, at least that's what we think. But from the inside, has he truly found peace? And the answer is no, because he's still contemplating his way out. And even when he does it and he completely breaks down, we're back at the board again. It's like, now has he finally found his peace or some moment of clarity? And we just don't know. It's a sad thing. I just want to say that Malcolm, if there was any question, once again, he's put his whole foot in this character, and to see the Stone Cold, the cool laid back guy, the got all the cool outfits, the cars, the banter between the brothers, the moments between his sister, all these sorts of different things. So now we're seeing a character struggling with a sobriety, looking for the way out. He's giving us all of these different moments with these characters, and we continue to buy into it. And this one's sad. I was like, damn, man, I was hoping, I was praying that it wasn't going to happen. I'm glad that we got more of him going into next season, because I gotta tell you, it has not been looking good. I did not have my coins placed that Lou was going to make it out of this season. I've also had a couple of folks in my ear trying to give me some really convincing reasons that he wasn't going to be in. So I am very, very excited that all of the Thomases are coming back. All of our main characters except for Omar and Shanley. So we lost Burke and we lost Howard. But then we got Unique back. I mean, we didn't really get him back because he never left. We tried to tell you, but
and we still got Captain Baptiste, which is all
Captain Baptiste.
But I think what made this scene even more powerful is the scene prior to this with the therapist, when Lou was really breaking down everything, down to when he said, I heard the FBI came to visit you, and he said, yeah, and it reminded me, I will always be that person from that neighborhood. So it's that quick realization that no matter what I do, it's almost exactly what Juke says. I'm never going to be able to escape this. Like, this is going to be it for me. Yeah. And I think that's that realism that hit him. And that's what made him think, maybe if I just take myself out, that everything will be fine. It was again, a great setup, a great powerful scene. But the following scene is Stefano agreeing to give Raq the money after she agrees to put up her house.
Skip everything for, as we mentioned, the display of love for little badass Kanan.
Who?
I say her display of love for her little badass son Kanan, because I mean, like, yeah, this is you're giving all of the tangible things.
But we're gonna talk. I just wanted to bring up like everything else that Stefano said, because I wanted to bring up him saying the strip mall in Queens ain't really the what do you say, the Trump Tower or something of that nature. Like the point he brought up, like, nigga, I don't want this ghetto piece of property. Like, that means absolutely nothing to me.
Little did he know what it will become in about 20 to 30 years.
A lot longer than that, because it's 92. You mean about 40 years?
Yeah, about 40 years. Yeah, 20. Yeah, about 40 years.
35 years.
No, about 30.
Yeah. But just him bringing that up, and then Raq having to give up everything humanly possible to save Kanan. And this is when he says, I hope your son realizes how much you love him. And Marvin again repeats the same thing as we talked about earlier, of him saying, I hope he does. And then you get the Raq eyes, because that's the point she questions. I wonder if he actually thinks I love him.
As I said,
Yeah. I think that's an important thing. That was an important scene for her because it kind of shows that she possibly is contemplating, like, I'm doing all this for him, but what happens if he does not care?
Yeah.
That I'm doing all of this for him. Like, it's a weird thing, a duality that she's not expecting to have to deal with her own child.
Yeah.
Didn't we get back to the end of the episode, which we talked about earlier, which is the snowfall / raising Kanan setup scene here. Howard, Raq going into the warehouse. We get the big reveal of the character that we've been telling you all since he disappeared. He was clearly still alive because we did not see a body. And for some odd reason, you all thought we were lying.
Rejoice.
I don't even know who the person was last week who said, "Y'all
let it go.
Stop bringing up this unique stuff and just let it go."
Yep, that's okay.
Well.
That's okay because I got like a couple of moments on my hands. I'm gonna go ahead and give them a nice shout out because the way how people be. You need to watch the episode. Y'all need to focus on it. Y'all are talking about this and that. B Cortez TV. Unique is dead in all caps. Let it go. I also want to give a shout out to the She Shed 1775. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks Unique is still alive. Welcome to the club. I just knew Unique was about to crawl out of the woods when me too.
When they looked in the same give it up on that comment.
Yeah, listen, they drove past that area. They drove past that area, and that was this time. But anyway, listen. Let me get a couple of more things in before we wrap up tonight. The first thing is when Raq pulled the gun out. Did you think she at any point was pointing that at Kanan?
Yes,
I did too.
First, I thought she was pointing that gun at Kanan because I thought she thought, I don't know if I could trust you yet.
Exactly. When that conversation came out about Kanan and I forget exactly what it was, but when they was having the conversation in the house and they were basically talking about Ronnie and so on and just where Kanan kind of aligned, Raq didn't give a reassuring answer like Kanan was like protected. She's basically like, oh, wow, I don't know. I guess we kind of see what happens, whatever. So I love how they shot that because it did give that moment of like, is she really about to point her gun at her son? Which was, I mean, I would have been on board for it because man, that would have sent the next season into a swirl.
It's gonna be next.
It been crazy there. So I'm glad you say that. Y'all let us know too in the comments if y'all thought that Raq had pointed that gun at Kanan, but instead she ended up killing Howard. But with this being said, though, we got a dead body with Howard. We got a dead body with Ronnie. We got the whole crew. Ronnie's crew, which Ty Dolla $ign wasn't there, strangely enough, all dead, and Howard Carr on the outside. What does this scene mean for next season?
Unless we find some way where they laid those guns out in their hands, all you did was kill bodies with no weapons. I have questions at that point.
Yeah.
You killed bodies with no weapons, so you're gonna have to like show something where they put the guns in their hands to make it look like they were shooting at one another, and then that happened that way.
Yeah,
but you can't even do it that way because technically, Ronnie was shot in the back of his head, and Howard was shot at the side of his head. I would have questions.
Yeah, and also ballistics is a. Whether you don't know what year ballistics was like a really big.
Also, but it's 92. Ballistics ain't like that.
Well, no. They brought up ballistics earlier with the whole thing.
Those are easy ballistics. I mean, the ballistics of gunpowder residue and stuff like that, it wasn't that strong in the early 90s.
Either way, so, the point is ballistics is still something they can focus on. Yeah, and it's very easy for them to tell what direction a bullet was shot in. That's my whole point.
The key part is Ronnie's gun technically is what killed Howard, because that's the gun Raq picked up.
Oh, that's right.
Howard. So that's why I said all you really need is that. Technically, you got it. If the gun is there, that's Ronnie's gun.
That's right. Yeah.
So Ronnie killed Howard. Now, how you explain how Ronnie died? Maybe you don't have to, because he got shot in the back of his head. You don't have to explain how Ronnie died, really.
It means that somebody else was there. I mean, but the thing is,
Maybe it's Marvin.
The best case scenario for the Thomases is they need to clear their hands with everything. So you can keep Howard quiet. He doesn't have to be any point of any further investigation, snitching or giving anybody up, which protects your brother. But you still have you and Kanan in question because who killed Ronnie? Has there been witnesses that Ronnie and Kanan has been together? Everybody has seen that they've been together. You know why? Because the damn social worker seen them together. So,
no, but they threatened the social worker's life. I don't know if she out there just
listen. No, it's very simple. He's dead. Social worker is somebody protected that would be like, hey, this guy's dead. He's been murdered. Have you seen anybody with him, or even her even coming back with? Either way, there's witnesses.
Kanan just got to kill her next season. That's all that is.
Yeah, that's as stupid as Ronnie. That's as stupid as Ronnie trying to muscle her, as if, like, again, as we mentioned, she should have just ran inside and where there was clearly or has to be a cop on duty on the inside. But I mean, the point of the matter is,
one social worker that should end it all. Like Baltimore keep on throwing social workers at you, they don't care about them. But you kill one here, that should be enough.
The point of the matter is that this scene doesn't clear everything up. There's still more questions to be had. And you know what? If you talk about staging the scene so that it makes sense, Unique is there. Does Unique clean it up for Raq?
I'm about to say, yeah, because technically everybody was wondering what happened to Unique. Now all of a sudden, all these dead bodies around and he there, or they think that's why he has to get away immediately. He can't be there.
Not at all. But he can stage the scene so that it clears the Thomases, and he clearly can go back and say, I took care of it for you. They're not going to come back. That cleans that. But anyway, my last couple of thoughts for this season, we'll talk more about it on our live show, is I'm still not high on the Burke story. I'll go into detail with that. And the task force is far from done. So they'll definitely be around. And I think the only thing with Marvin being initially on the outside and just cleaning and hitting the two henchmen is this still keeps Marvin primarily very clean from any other big things that could just implicate him going forward. But Famous is in hot water, and Juke contemplating on what she's going to do. Military doesn't seem like a certain. So a lot to really make. Crystal pregnant, or she's pregnant potentially. I mean, more than likely confirmed. But other than that, it's just fantastic way to end the season.
Tell you they late all the time. You just make sure she take that pregnancy test.
Don't be scarred, my guy.
Hey.
Don't be scarred, my guy.
He
has to have a kid. He has to have a kid at some point. So
that is true, and that's going to be that's the key element here. Again, if we did the math, we could probably figure it out. I just don't want to do the math on Sean. He wasn't that important of a character. He was Sasha's sex toy. Like, that's about it to me. Yeah. And then, like, he's dark, and Kanan ain't as dark as he is, and Chris is light skinned. Like,
oh my goodness,
you got questions.
Colorism. Yeah,
I mean,
stay out.
I'm not the only person that's going to bring that up. I am one person going to bring up that Chris is light skinned and Sean is extremely dark skinned.
Stay out.
I'm the only person that's going to bring that up.
Stay out of those Facebook groups, my guy. They the ones that would just be so. Yeah, stay out of Facebook.
Only going there for the foolishness, because the foolishness is amazing here. But the one thing none of y'all brought up really was that Unique was still alive. Makes no sense. Y'all would argue people down that y'all need to get that up, or you would post Joey's Instagram posts about it and be like, "Oh, clearly he's not alive." Yeah. And now we're here. But speaking of now, we're here again. This is episode 10. Made You Look, which I think was a great play to name this episode after a Nas song, which I absolutely love. And not to go into too much, because I don't want to get my final thoughts until Monday, because we're going to get back on here on Monday evening to talk about the entire season, give predictions for season 4, which they've already been approved for, so we already know it is coming. And just seeing some of these storylines that have not been closed off, whether it be Famous, where does his conversation lead with the task force and Detective Howard, Moving forward, Kanan and Raq's relationship. What will happen when Raq has to tell Kanan and Marvin the reason that she killed Howard? I think that's going to be highly important. And the future of Juke. Where does that lead to? And the mindset of Lulu, down to almost killing himself at the end of this episode. Are we going to see him fully healed by the time that we get to season 4? Until then, like, subscribe, comment, hit the little notification bell so you all know not only when this episode drops, which it will drop at 1 a.m. in the morning, right after the episode airs on Stars, but also when a live happens, so y'all can tune in, join us,
I love
chat us, to talk to us, to do everything humanly possible that night with us, so we could go over Power as a family and have an amazing discussion. Y'all could tell us how stupid we are. We don't mind that. It is fun. We make mistakes. Everybody does. But again, we get to talk about it and go over it, and y'all give us as many wild and crazy theories and come with the worst ones humanly possible that y'all had for this entire season, because that's what makes this fun, is everything that y'all thought was going to happen is now unique Breeze because of his eye. I know somebody's going to bring that up, and I'm waiting for the person, because y'all have been waiting for Breeze for this entire run of Raising Kanan for him to pop.
Dude, stop feeding him this BS. I'm just like, he's just gonna keep going on and on about this Breeze thing. No, no Breeze.
You already know they waiting.
Over.
The
season's over. There's no Breeze. There's no Breeze, folks. Check out next season and come back with that same.
You got a different eye now, so it's clearly Breeze. You already know how this gonna go. Or Lulu's Breeze. You know how it goes. They gonna pull out anybody they can to get. I did not know Breeze was this beloved of a character on Power until Raising Kanan came out. And then all of a sudden, every character is Breeze. I hear Breeze more than I hear Ghosts. Like, it is ridiculous at this point. And also is the little white girl, Lisa Marie's mother. That's also, we just don't know. Just to help y'all out here. Give us y'all theories. That's what we like to tune into, and we can have a conversation about it. And y'all can disagree in the comments. Y'all can disagree live with us. But again, hit those notification bells so you see when this episode drops, and not only this episode drops, but see when we go live on Mondays. Anything else before we close this recap review out?
Just a little bit of logic here. If you've already watched 2 hours of this, you don't need to hit the notification bell to see when it drops, because you've already tuned in. But the notification bell can help you for future episodes, future content, especially when we go live, which will be live this Monday. So to clean that up just a little bit, stay tuned here at Big O Belt Media. We got a ton of stuff coming on down the way, and that notification bell and subscribing will make sure that you're in the know for when those things drop. So, Mr. Lucas, and for myself, thank y'all for tuning in for 10 straight weeks of 10 episodes of our recap review show of Raising Kanan season 3. See y'all Monday for our final live show and more things to come. See y'all.